Yes, indeed. Anybody just tuning in hasn't been keeping score. You listen to the Killogic Effect. You can find us lurking around all your favorite social media networks. You can also find us live streaming over on the Mixer, Twitch, and other such various type places. And today we have a very special day, an impromptu for the holiday, I would say, a nice Christmas gift to myself, and that's we are sitting here with Mr. Brian Kroll from My Son the Bum. What is going on, brother?
I'd say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are on the planet. Everything's all right. Coffee, music, rock and roll, and Killogic Effect. We kill logic all the time over here.
Oh man, you're just a walking soundbite, bro.
Yeah, it's the Killogic Magic Free for the Alice's Restaurant.
So how has things been, brother? You have been pretty busy lately, man. You've been churning out some awesome music, and you just handed me quite a stack of brand new music, and I wanted to talk about that. But first, I wanted to get everybody acquainted with Mr. Brian Kroll, and let us in on the beginnings, the conception. Well, not your conception. That's a little too far back.
Oh,
But and probably your parents might want to tune in for that one. But at any rate, I would like to talk about the beginnings of My Son the Bum, and how all this started, because you have a particular brand of music that people really connect with on a lot of different levels, and I think it would be very interesting to find out how all of this, began and is.
if you pick a song, I'll be able to answer that.
Do what now?
Pick a song, and I'll tell you.
Pick a song. Okay. Well, there's Beer for Breakfast. That's one that I know that was one of my first introductions with you was that song, and then basically that whole album was my introduction to you. Now tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's a very good example of the lightheartedness and awesomeness that is My Son the Bum. So fill us in on that one.
A beer for breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm looking. No, don't mind me. I'm looking outside, thinking my 87-year-old landlord decides to do something outside the window. It's like he's effing with me, man. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know it. He looks like Robert Duvall and Robert De Niro, but like old. Well, they're both old. But Beer for Breakfast was an unplanned song. It was a historical accident. See, I came in from California. I went to a trip. I was in college at the time, the last day where I was living. I don't know how American Express decided to give me a card. So I wasn't working at the time. And I looked at my card. My rental thing was up. I didn't hear it from the roommate if we were keeping it. I looked at the card. Said, I think we're going to California. So I made arrangements to drop my stuff off with my friends. He took me to California. I come back 6 weeks later, staying with my friend, and he was fighting with me, saying it was my fault he couldn't leave his wife. And I'm looking at him like, are you serious? I said, your wife told me that at least she has someone to talk to, and I'm here, but I didn't think that would go. That wasn't why he threw me out. I don't remember what it was. He's sitting there looking through the wine ad saying, I really think you need to get a job. You're just taking for granted, and that's not right that you're visiting around here, and I'm looking at him. I was like, "You're looking through the water, Anthony, yelling at me for not working. I'm paying you rent on the American Express card, which I paid back." But so he said, "You know what? If I'm coming back in 5 hours. You and your box. No, I'm coming back in 2 hours. You and your boxes better be out here. Or, you know." I don't remember if I ducked time for his fist to hit the wall instead of my face. So I called up my bass player at the time. I said, "Hey, Bill, can I come over and bring my 5 boxes, put them in your garage with Bill?" And Bill, "Hey, you want to write a song?" If you know Bill makes everything we when it's you. Or, "We painted the house. You painted the house." I had people come over and paint it, but it's we.
Yeah.
So, I said, you said, "You want to write a song?" It's like, "Me, you, or us?" I said, "Whatever." And I was like, "I don't know. What do you want to write a song about?" I'm like, "Are you serious? You want to write a song?" "Yeah." I looked down, there's a Michelob beer. I don't know if Michelob sent me a coffee now for other reasons. And said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, the world doesn't need another beer song. Unless it's cool." And I thought, how the hell do you write another beer song? I'm really not a beer guy.
Right.
I think Chase Towards the Grave is another song which is more about me, but we won't talk about that. And I started thinking of the Camp Us song, and 99 bottles of beer on the wall. And I thought, how about we flip that and play it backwards, conceptually, where everywhere the person goes, there's more beer instead of every verse there's one less bottle of beer on the wall. And that's exactly how I perceived it. It was like, we'll start off with the day, and I pictured, I can't say anything without sounding profiling in 2019.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean to profile anyway. This is just what popped into my head.
Right. No, I don't even worry about that shit. That's...
No, but let's just say I pictured this a woman whose teeth left to visit and didn't come back. you know, living somewhere between California and New York. How's that? And in Florida. and
yeah, Florida.
The accent was something like, you know, "Beer for breakfast." You know, "Where's the beer? I'm going to drink some beer." That was kind of and she was kind of somewhere between 50 and 100, like sort of walking the line of politically incorrect. and she woke up in the morning and said, "You know, we're going to be watching TV in a couple hours. I got to get primed for prime time."
Right.
And I'm making breakfast, and so I thought, well, let's start with the morning. When I get up in the morning after I have my cup of coffee, and I get off of my chair and go, I wrote it like that, like a drunken,
right,
my stereotypical hillbilly.
Almost
story.
like a Thorogood type idea.
Thorogood meets Grant Ma Kettle.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And when I get up in the morning after I have my cup of coffee, I get up off my chair and go, "Just for what I need." I'm like, what the hell is the chorus? I drink beer for breakfast right next to my eggs. Drink beer for breakfast. Buy the cake. You know, that's how it went. I was like, beer for breakfast. Up in the dregs, beer for breakfast. I'm like, okay. In the afternoon. What happens when the keg runs dry? Okay, when the keg runs dry, I need to unleash my throttle. I go down to my icebox and I finish myself a bottle. What happens when the bottles run out? I picture going down in the basement, finding secret supply of cans so the rest of the family doesn't get it. You know, when the bottles run out, it's often doing plans, but they always run out on plans. I head down from a cellar to finish my secret supply of cans. And then, you know, you really want the rest of it? Well, I was at this meeting where I'm not really it was an open meeting, and I heard somebody sharing, you know, once you're a pickle, you'll never be a cucumber again.
I often wondered where that came from because it makes so much sense. I had never heard that expression until the song, and it was like, because I know people that song is about, you know? So,
Right.
like, you know, I've known them ever since childhood. That's just how they were. They just, that was their thing. They just drank beer from morning until night. They were a very happy-go-lucky person, but they were also a very drunk person all the time. And, you know, but it was, so hearing that song, it was like, I know, you know, this song is about my people.
Right.
And another song that, you know, if you want to pick songs that people really dig, and I get asked to play a lot, and I would have to say it's one of my faves too, is Waiting for the Shoe to Drop. The Shoe song?
Yeah.
The Lost Shoe song.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones too. And they're not all my favorite. I can honestly tell you, I don't remember the effing tuning for that song.
Really?
I have it written down somewhere. Yeah.
I think the thing that about My Son the Bum, and you know, and if you really, you know, and that goes to like going through songs and stuff. The thing about My Son the Bum is, you have that brand of music that has a great deal of storytelling to it. So it's like sitting down for the weirdest Mother Goose stories you've ever heard. And you know what I mean? And that's, you know, it's just, it has that real feeling of like Dr. Seuss meets Mother Goose meets, you know, some awesome music. And it's like if you threw all that in a pot together, and I think that's why a lot of people connect with so much of your music, is because, and why I like always say this, like, there's a little something for everybody, because even if musically, say, it's not somebody's forte, there's going to be a story in there that they can connect with, because, I mean, that's the one thing about My Son the Bum, is it's not just the original sounding musical content, it's the stories that go along with it that make it what it is, I feel. And the Lost Shoe song, the Shoe song is a prime example of that, where people just really connect with that tune, I think.
That's probably how I felt at the time.
Well, I mean, there's so much of that song that, I mean, I connect with. I mean, there's a great deal of times in your life where, you know, you know, even when things are going good, it's like, you know, okay, well, what's next? You know? And that song has a great way of spelling that out, or giving these, for instances that you can really relate with, I'll say. That's a good way to, like, to put, like, some of the storytelling is it's a lot of instances, and, you know, in life, and I think it's real, but it's also taking the comical side of it, you know, like, you know, like, let's look at your damn Christmas song, man. I mean, well, you have a couple, actually. You even say goodbye to Christmas, which there isn't many of those. There isn't many of those.
Iconic Christmas, yeah.
Yeah. I thought, when I first heard that, I was like, not only is it just, it harkened back to that older style, and it actually does a wink and a nod to a lot of the artists that do Christmas music. But it does it so, like, a matter-of-factly, but comically at the same time. And it's all like, this all makes perfect sense type stuff. Like, this is exactly what I'm thinking. And, you know, like, Flight Deck for Christmas. You know, like, the whole bridge and chorus of that song is just basically Christmas wrapped up in a nutshell. Sitting around the table.
Right.
It's like sitting around the table pretending to, you know, be, you know, like into what we're doing, and you know, happy to see all these people that you only see once a year, and for good damn reason. You know, it's just got a perfect way, and that's a perfect example of why people just you know, can really relate with My Son the Bum's music. Is you have a way of taking the almost the mundane things of life, or some of the shitty aspects of life, and saying, hey, let's laugh at that instead.
Right.
So I have to the shoe song, Waiting for the Shoe to Drop. That was one that immediately when I heard it, I wanted to hear it again. You know, it was like one of them songs. And it's been requested, you know, countless times on the show. What was the antithesis? What was the whole thing behind the Waiting for the Shoe to Drop?
Lyrically or musically?
Well, whatever you want to start with. I'd like a little bit of both, because I'm a fan of both.
Thank you. Actually, there's a thing called Waiting for the Other Shoe to Drop, but I didn't know that, and it sounded that was too long.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because to me, there was only the other shoe, the shoe that was going to fall. There was no other shoe.
Right. Yeah.
So when I found out it was Waiting for the Other Shoe to Drop, I was like, that's too long. You know what I mean? It's it's too long to be a feeling thing.
Right.
So I was like, I like Waiting for the Shoe to Drop better. Because to me, it's always the shoe that's dropping, not the one that's on the ground that I'm looking at. So
right.
It doesn't matter.
It's the one coming.
Yeah,
I'm worried
the only
about.
The only shoe is the one that's going to fall. That's the good stuff. It's the other shoe it's the other shoe, but when it's in the air, it's the only shoe.
Right.
Yeah. So I had that. I think the chorus came first, and I had a friend of mine, Danny Wider, rest in peace, who I ended up with he had the car reel-to-reel with sound on sound, and his landlord said, well, if you don't take it, it's going in the garbage. I'm sure he'd like you to have it. What does that have to do with shoe? Is I turned the tape on. I still have it. I plugged the guitar straight in, turned up the recording level so it distorted.
Right.
And I pushed the sound on sound button so it had that second delay, and I was noodling around. And I don't remember the exact guitar tuning. I was just noodling around, and I was playing stuff, and I was like, that feels like shoe. Like the guitars that you hear, like, it's like, I was a big fan of Alice in Chains, and I wasn't trying to write an Alice in Chains song or my version of one. That would be Trigger, but not Shoe.
Right. Well, it does almost kind of in the riffage content. You know, as a guitar, I can kind of feel a little bit of the Alice in Chains aspect to it, especially in that chorus. That waiting for the shoe to drop. That just, and I think that's the hook that really. So that was like the first part you wrote. Was that hook basically?
I don't remember. It's one of the first parts. Yeah. I think the bridge was like the last part.
Right.
The part in the middle with the.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize songs come together. They don't, you know, it's like some people that don't know how music is written, they'll think that somebody just sits down and writes a song like they would write a story, and it's like songs come in pieces. Like there'll be a chorus to a song that you've had dangling around for a couple years, and it finally works its way into something that, you know, has a, you know, has a spot.
Yeah, there was a. Yeah, so I was tuning the guitar straight, so what happened was, I went in the studio, it was a historical accident where I said to my girlfriend, I have a damn digital recorder, I gotta go in the studio. I'm not bringing a reel-to-reel deck in there. I mean, I could, but, you know, at studio rates, let's not do that. I don't have to. So I found this old, like, Sony portable cassette thing with variable pitch. And I said, okay, I'm just going to record it on the cassette deck. Of course, I have so many cassettes on top of everything else, so, like, okay, I'll get out the cassette deck. I go in the studio and try to tune it to the pitch that sounded right.
Right.
And I tuned the guitar that way. We did the guitars. And then when it was time to do the bass track, the bass player said, this is like in C or C sharp. This isn't in D. I'm like, it's not. So I tuned it by ear. I don't have perfect pitch. I just know if it sounds good or not. And I went, oh, that's great. Because why? I said, I don't think I would have done it in C or C sharp if I knew that. I just went for what sounded right, which was more ominous. So it ended up to be in that key because I brought the cassette in and I tuned it by ear on the variable pitch. If I had the perfect version of it, it would have sounded less ominous. So I just tuned it by ear to the cassette and said, this is the note, and tuned the guitar to that. So that was fun. Actually, it's something I don't know if anybody, I don't know if I should say this or not. My girlfriend said, everything you think you shouldn't say, you should say, and everything you think you should say, you shouldn't say. But sometimes I can't tell one from the other, but the Ross guitar, it goes it's like, that's my version of Bang a Gong from Hell, played by Alice in Chains in a drop open tuning.
That's cool.
So it's like, hey, that works. You know, I think the first three strings are the same note. I'm not sure. So it was fun. And then the harmonies at the beginning, like, it's a little Jimmy Page harmony. But if the three strings are the same, well, he had open tuning, or had whatever. So it was just kind of like, I wrote that, like it wasn't going to be recorded, and I said, hey, I should do this.
Right.
And that's how Shoe came, yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. I mean, it's like, again, it's definitely one of those, I mean, when I first heard it, I knew exactly the analogy or the saying that it was referring to. So, it was just one of them tunes, though, that I definitely did get that, like, that Alice in Chains vibe. And another thing is the album that it's on, it's kind of the only tune like it. There isn't really any other songs that I can think of on that album that have that same almost heavy type feel that one does. Because that one does, I guess I would say it does have more of the Alice in Chains vibe than I'd say like a lot of other tunes do. But it's definitely a song that people connect with on a lot of different levels. And, I've heard, or seen people comment from anything from the riff and the hook to the lyrical content and what it's about. And it's just one of them tunes. I mean, people always kind of have that feeling, I think, of this is well, it can't get much better than this. And so when's the other shoe gonna drop? So it's an excellent song. So you have a bunches of new music that we got to talk about here. Now, you just recently handed me a full album of all the stuff that you've been working on that, well, I didn't really know you were even doing anything until you had handed me a couple songs, the Paranoid song, and well, there's Between the Fog and a Fall. But I didn't know that you were putting together a whole album. Tell me about this whole thing.
Pick a song.
Pick a song. I want to pick the album, Brian.
Okay, the album. Some of the songs were originally released in versions that I felt weren't the ones I wanted them to go into. I don't know. I hate to say eternity or posterity because I have no sense that I'm releasing them as or putting them out as. And then some of them were unreleased.
Right.
And some of them are less than a month and a half old. So we have stuff that,
well, I did recognize that there is a couple on here that that I had seen before, but they're different. They sound different.
Yeah, they have different vocals, different parts, like Fog in the Fall has. Well, this is I don't know, like there's a good side and a bad side of having a filter that's full. It's like, you shouldn't say that.
Don't worry, man.
And other times you're like, why the F did you say that? There's too much information. I'm like, how do I know what you want to know until after I say it? And by then I can't say that.
Well, there's one song I had a question about was Carnival of Souls. Is that about the movie?
No, I saw the movie after.
Really?
Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't about the movie.
That's one of my favorite public domain, especially horror movies, but that's...
No, I like the song title from the movie. It has nothing to do with the Kiss album, because they came out with that after I...
Oh, no, not Kiss. I'm talking about the movie, the old black and white movie.
With Candace Hilligold.
Yeah, wow, I didn't even think about the whole Kiss Carnival of Souls. Holy shit, I forgot all about that. That's probably better that people forget about that.
There's no song, though, called Carnival of Souls.
Yeah, they did the Psycho Circus song, and...
yeah, that was an album title, it wasn't a song title.
Right. And then, I thought there's another older metal band that had like a Carnival of Souls or something.
Yeah,
like
that was like a drive-in movie I read.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. When I saw the movie back when they had video stores, I walked in with my ex-wife, and when I say ex, it was more like, why'd you get divorced? We were best friends. That's a weird reason to get divorced. But anyway, that's another story. Well, if I didn't meet my girlfriend, I would have been the first husband and the third. And she would have been the first and second wife.
Jeez.
As fate stepped in. So,
it's funny how things work out like that.
It's better this way, because my girlfriend writes and stuff. My ex-wife spent more time in front of the mirror than writing in a journal. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not profiling that.
Don't worry, man.
If you're a cosmetologist, it's probably better to do that, right?
Right.
Nothing against it, but I can't talk to your mirror. But anyway. So we went to Blockbuster, and I just looked at the guy. I don't know what it was about the guy. I said, I want you to recommend a movie to watch. He said, what kind of movie? I said, weird. He goes, I got just the movie for you. I'm like, yeah? Because I don't know if you'll like it. I said, it won't be your fault if I don't. He said, give me a movie that you would watch now if you could. It's your responsibility to earn your minimum wage. No, I didn't say it. But I meant that like you're worth more than your salary. Like, tell me what you want as a human being, not just say, that's the drama section.
Right.
So he gave us Carnival of Souls, and it was like the director's cut. It had all bonus footage in it, and I like the I like the name of the movie, although this had nothing to do with it. So that was that.
So tell me.
It had nothing to do with the movie, although I did lift the lettering style for an earlier album.
Well, it's a good movie either way, and it's got a, I don't know about any deeper meaning to the movie, but it's definitely a really cool, spooky, creepy movie, and that's one of them movies that really makes you, well, people like me anyway, I guess, want to make movies or want to do stuff, because they did a lot of simple things that worked and were creepy in that movie. And I'm a sucker for the old black and white horror movies anyway, so that one's right up my alley. But we're not here to talk about movies, we're here to talk about what the song isn't about.
The song. That
so,
song is,
Carnival of Souls.
I think, I'm trying to remember. Try to dismember. No, it's in the same tuning as Fog in the Fall. What does that have to do with anything? It's got more vibey and open tuning kind of a thing.
Right.
I think I wrote the tuning for that, came up with that tuning like around the same time with Beer for Breakfast. I had that time where I was sitting around and said, there's nothing here but my friend's dead ex-wife's guitar, but she was alive and his wife at the time. No disrespect, she helped me a lot with that guitar and telling me to write a song about coffee. Because I would call up every morning,
Oh, you're out about beer, why not?
Well, yeah. So, but anyway, with Carnival of Souls, I'm trying to remember. I had more of the chorus first, and then I was writing the lyrics, and we were in the studio. That song, except for some supplemental guitars, the vocals in the mix, was done analog on tape, 24-track tape. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
I was looking through my notebook.
In this digital era, I have such an appreciation for when things are recorded on analog, especially not just because of the sound superiority and all that, but it takes more work, time, and effort to do things on analog, and so there's a better appreciation for it from a producer's standpoint.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just superior. I can always tell too, like when, especially once I'm told and I listen, it's like, yeah, you can definitely hear the superior sound in analog. It is. But anyway,
the drums for sure are analog. Yeah, see, what happened was, I'll go back to the Carnival of Soul things while I'm trying to think of how to answer it. I'll answer this one. So I went to a studio. I said, I don't want to do effing Pro Tools. I want to do tape. I said to the engineer, you're going to do the effing bait and switch on me because I don't want to do Pro Tools. So I'm going to go to the studio and you're going to pull the effing bait and switch.
Yeah.
And I know this guy was analog and he didn't really want to. He would prefer to do analog, let's put it that way. And
right.
He probably will have a 24-track. One of the people I work with, and they had these two 1975 Ampex 24-track machines, like Bad Company and Zeppelin used.
Right.
And I was all excited. Forget about it. It's like the Sports Illustrated gear issue instead of the swimsuit.
Right.
Looking at that, that 24-track, and we got all the drums done. There was, four of them. Beer was an add-on on that Beer and Issues were add-ons, but Shoe was one of the original 4 or 5, and we did all the drums. But see, John O'Reilly, being John O'Reilly, did it in one take. So we didn't notice that when you went to punch in parts, there was a click. There was something wrong with the switches, and it made click noises, and you couldn't erase it, but then you'd have to click it.
Oh,
so then it ended up in the rest of it ended up in Pro Tools. I'm like, I knew it. You pulled that and made the switch on me, you son of a bitch. And I'm not going to go to another studio with another guy, you fucker. I'm not a curse, right? I'm trying to be. I curse in front of people that are deeply religious and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I'm on the air and I can't curse, and I'm not. Maybe I'm just.
You can. We don't have to worry about the FCC or anything on. The only thing I always try to keep it to a minimum because I know there's people listening at work or in their like warehouse and stuff.
Effers.
But yeah, I don't really care though.
Like Effers, Gers, Ayers. But yeah, so the rest. So that ended up being on tape. But Carnival of Souls, I remember. The third, I finally got it the way I wanted it on these. And I hear from the other room, I'm looking through my notebook, I carry a notebook, I can't find it, whatever. Good luck finding stuff in phones. I end up with an ocular migraine, and then everything looks like word salad. And it's like, Brian, you have that other verse done? He's ready to sing the other verse. I'm like, hold on a second. And what I would do is I would write, I still do it, I write down stuff in notebooks. Now, it depends on who I'm working with. It's a digital guy that's sewn and grown in the digital box. I fit everything in, or just tell him to write it down, type it out. But I would bring in the notebook, and I would look through stuff and say, oh, that stinks. And I would look for the bracketed parts with the star next to it.
Right.
And I found words for another song that I never did. I was like, and then I never did it because they ended up in Carnival. Well, it's the part where there are some things in life that charity won't bring, stuck between the hype and the next big thing. You don't have to end in a gilded garbage pail. No need to live the flip side of a fairy tale. And that was for another song, but I went, that worked. Yeah. And it's like, are those the words? I said, they are now. I didn't know. So it was kind of like that. I was kind of... Actually, I think the mood I was writing about was probably the opposite of the movie. It was more like, there is a place where you can be who you are and grow who to be who you are, and not have to role play and compartmentalize somebody else's script to get approval and acceptance and navigate through life, and then people pat you on the back, and then they say, well, you're really successful, and you have this, and this. How does it feel? It's like, that's not me, but I'm glad you like it. So what do you mean? You have everything to be happy about. I said, that's not me. That's what I thought I had to be. So I wanted to write Carnival of Souls to be that place where it could just, I or people be who you are within reason. I have on TV show, right? TV show. See, in my head, I see pictures, and it's a radio show. Yeah, something like that. I don't know if I answered the question.
No, and I think, to go with what you said, I think that, that's another thing is being able to have music like this to be able to pull messages from that really kind of speak, whether you meant to or not. It kind of speaks to a lot of the generation today that is they have this idea, or media is giving them this idea of what they should be or what they're supposed to be. But I also appreciate the fact that there are, places that, like that we stream on and stuff like Mixer and Twitch, where people can live stream themselves, being themselves or doing what they're good at. I mean, within reason. You can't be an asshole and just, but we've grown more accepting in society in a lot of ways, but there is still this, everybody wants to put everybody into groups, or everything is compartmentalized, or everybody's got to be, you fit in with this person, or you fit in with that group, where just be you, and don't, that's, why I have problems with, politics and stuff like that. It's like, how can we work out things together as a whole if we're separating ourselves and putting each other in these groups and then pitting those groups against each other. It's not healthy, and and I think that happens a lot in society, period. And so I think, like I said, like whether you meant to or not, things like that being said in songs can really speak to, a lot of the younger generation even trying to kind of find their way. And that's one of them songs that can kind of give some people perspective.
Thank you kindly.
I want to know a bit about what you use and what like your when it comes down to like you guys all recording together. But first, I would like to know what kind of what's your preference on the guitars and the amps and the pedals and the stuffs like that?
In the studio or in real life?
Well, if Brian Kroll was gonna, be playing some of these sweet ass tunes that we play on the radio live, what guitars would he prefer to bring?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, probably Gibsons and Fenders. Nothing fancy. It's old and expensive. No.
Right.
Because they're expensive, it's because I like them.
So you lean more towards the classics?
Yeah. I have nothing against.
No. It has.
Yeah,
it's
but
just
I'm trying to think of how to answer that, because sometimes it's denial. Don't even know I am lying.
Right. Well, I think if people get shitty about if somebody somebody doesn't prefer playing an Ibanez, it's like, well, listen to the music I play. Does it sound like I should be playing an Ibanez?
I have nothing
There's different
against
guitars
Ibanez.
for different things. Yeah. I think Ibanez makes awesome stuff. It's just not my stuff.
Right. Well, usually what I do is I'm going to try to think. Levels of transparency. When I recorded some of the songs, one of the engineers, producer-engineers, Bob Stander, and Mike Worth is the current singer, and we did Sucked Into the Undertow and Flight Deck and Goodbye Psychotic Christmas and Every Day is Halloween. I keep saying and because I don't know the run-on sentence, that's why. And Bob has a lot of really cool guitars, so I would use his guitars. So I could spend the money in the studio instead of having guitars that I didn't get to play anywhere.
Right.
So, then again, on Sucked Into the Undertow, Mike has likes Mexican Fenders. That's not a political statement. It is an actual true life preference.
Right.
Well, I asked one person who said, "What's the difference between a Mexican Fender Strat or Telecaster and an American one?" Oh, sounds political, but it's not. He said, well, the Mexican ones are made in Mexico by Mexicans, and the American ones are made in California by Mexicans. The difference is a couple of, however many miles there are between Mexico and Southern California, where the Fender factory is. But does that have to do with anything? I don't know. Yeah, Mike likes Mexican Fenders, and he could get whichever ones he wants. He just likes those. And actually had a Mexican Muddy Waters Telecaster, which is an interesting thing. So I sold it for studio money, but he has the Seymour Duncan double specs, and he, in there. But
the difference between a Spanish acoustic and just a regular standard acoustic is a vast difference in sound and everything.
Oh yeah. No, I don't mean.
So it's saying what it is where it comes from. It's just a statement of logistics.
Right. I'm just saying it's the same guitar, but
right.
But people have preferences on which one they like.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. I don't think too much about it.
I lean more towards when it comes to acoustics. I don't know if it's what it is, but I always lean. Dean has been a newer one in my life in the past, I don't know, 5 years or so. I've had Dean electric guitars off and on. I had a couple Deans that were just given to me, and they were decent guitars, Strats, and but I never, and then Dean got a little bit, bigger or whatever, and I'd always leaned towards a Fender acoustic. I loved the Fender acoustic, very simple acoustic, but had a great tone. These Dean's acoustics are like right with that. They have that same feeling for me. I'd always been a Washburn guitar man, but a Fender amp to go with that Washburn, I just thought was, a wholesome sound together.
Yeah.
And why I mention all that is those sounds, once you hear them and you hear the person playing, that sound like sticks in your head, and it's like your style of guitar playing with the sound. It's like even if you're using different instruments, it still elicits that same sound. Like it's very distinct. I mean, of course, you put your settings where you like them, so that's going to be a Brian Kroll thing anyway. But it is. It's very nice, distinct from all the albums. You can hear you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how else to put it.
I appreciate that, but I was trying to remember, because I don't pay attention to all that stuff, the gear stuff, really. Shoe, I went in, it's probably a 70s Les Paul custom.
Nice.
Gibson. And depends on the song. Trigger was that, the song from that CD. But,
yeah. That would probably be the second heaviest song on that tune.
Yeah, that was with well.
I love that riff,
if I got paid for the hours I listened to I would buy a nice dinner. But the thing was, with the song The Trigger, which was a good story about gear, I'm in the studio, and we had a 1968 Marshall Plexi, like the one that Jimi Hendrix used on Electric Ladyland or Cream on Wheels of Fire. And have that in the studio, as the Van Halen, was the TV one, the 5150 head, and Bob Standard, and he didn't get the sound that he wanted.
Right.
We're at the studio here on Long Island, and he goes out in the other room. I'm in the control room, and he comes back in, tweaks some knobs. He said, I think this will work. I said, yeah. I said, what amp is it? He said, I'm not going to tell you. I said, okay. I didn't care. It sounded good to me. I said, this is the sound? He said, yeah. So, I did the guitars on the Trigger, and then he said, double it. And I said, okay. He said, that's the sound, isn't it? I said, sounds good to me. And I said, what amp is it? He goes, go out there and look. I looked around, and I called out and go, what amp is it? It's the amp on the stool with the microphone in front of it. I looked around with all these different Vox amps, Fender amps, whatever. We had the Marshall, and I looked at it, so I don't see it. And he comes in the room, he goes, over there. I look down. I'm like, no. It's this little Dan Electro, like little Nifty 50 or something, a little teeny transistor amp on the stool.
No shit.
Yeah,
like a little practice amp.
We need like practice amp.
Yeah, side stage amp to warm up. Practice amp.
Yeah.
I just bought a little Marshall practice amp that just blew my mind. I was like, what is with this little thing? It's like it thinks it's a stack, but it's not.
Yeah, I was like, are you effing serious? That little thing? He said, yeah. And I said, you're serious? We have all these plastic sounding amps, and that's the right sound. So,
what did you use?
I said, yeah, that little amp with an 8-inch speaker made. Yeah, but yeah. Any other song?
Well, now that you mentioned the Trigger, the riff on that one, man. That how it You do some pretty cool, like, that's another thing too, is the you don't have like I don't know how else to put it, like the standard, what you, like, sometimes what you would expect the song to go into, it'll all of a sudden, like the Trigger is a perfect example of how it, you know, with the trigger, and then it, you know, does that, you know, that whole
right.
finger work thing you're doing there. Whatever that is. That magic. That Brian Kroll stuff.
Oh, thank you.
The Brian Krollisms. And I think that's a good tune to ask the, like, when you guys get together to record, how many of you are actually together when you do this?
You have to pick a song.
Well, the Trigger.
Trigger, there were three of us at the time. It was John O'Reilly, who was in a Trans-Siberian Orchestra for like 15 years or so.
No shit.
Yeah, in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra West Band. And it was cool because in an interview, I'll get back to it, he said it was a Trans-Siberian Orchestra meets My Son the Bum, an unlikely combination. And John O'Reilly said that my favorite other band when I'm not with TSO is playing with My Son the Bum. He said it's fun, I never know what I'm going to expect, and I've never met the singer.
Yeah,
so
that's just it. You got members that haven't even met each other.
Right. Yeah, well, he hasn't met either singer. But, yeah, so, which was kind of cool, because, you know, when he was in the studio, when I first heard him, I was like, wow, he sounds like John Bonham and Cozy Powell from Rainbow and Jeff Beck Group, and I think it was Jeff Beck Group, whatever. And, so it was John O'Reilly, Bob Stander, and myself when we did Trigger. And Trigger was not done to a click track.
Really?
Yeah, it was done live. So was Shoe. You know, so the drums were done in one take because they were done analog, and we didn't know that the machine was broken yet. Because John played in one take, the tape was fine if he didn't have to punch in or add parts. So the drums were out. So that was John O'Reilly, Bob Stander, and myself on those three. Same with Beer for Breakfast. I think same with Issues. Yeah, same with that album was us three live. And Carnival and Fog were us three. And try to remember. See, John's such a great cat that, you know, he likes, I don't mean that cat in the old words, like cool cat, not like, you know, with Facebook, it gave cats a bad name. But they're all narcissists, but nothing against cats. But so we did them live, a lot of the songs, and then it kind of transitioned to, you know, click, you know, and build the track with John. I can't, you know, so can't really tell because John, we could set the metronome to John, so we didn't really need the click. But I don't know if it's failure or just lost. But
well, a lot of times the whole, even if the band is tight and can do it, I've seen click tracks actually screw a band up, and a producer being very adamant about using a click track, but not setting the time right and making the band record at a time that they're not accustomed to. I watched a band have to struggle with that, and it sucked to see because there was nothing you could really do about it, but just watch them have to, you know, really struggle with this time that they weren't accustomed to, and then have to record like that. It's the click track. That's that can be a source of contention. I know there's a lot of drummers that play live with a click track. You know, that's
no. John didn't need a click track. No,
you know, but
it still doesn't need a click track.
Well, there's plenty of drummers. I mean, it also, I think it depends on the music, the setup, the situation. There's a lot for reasons of why a drummer in a lot of instances would need that click track. Because if anything,
Trigger, he played that to, trying to remember.
What about, I wanted to ask you about some of the, what about, like, Sucked Into the Undertow? This is one of the newer ones that you've given me.
So what are your thoughts on that song?
Well, I love it. It's actually, it's more in the line. It's what I said on the radio the other day was, if you were to take the vibe of the Shoe song and carry that over, that this is, in that same vibe and feel of, you know what I'm saying, of
right.
It has that more, harder feel to it than a more serious tone than the regular My Son the Bum. And I think that's why I would relate it to the Shoe song, is because it falls more into the harder realm of that stuff.
Yeah, the current album doesn't have any of the quirkier, quintessentially My Son the Bum songs on it. But I think even the Every Day is Halloween in My World didn't have the quirk to me.
I've noticed the theme on this is a bit more, well, I don't want to say so much serious, because that makes it, but it does have a more of a harder feel than,
Did you say harder or harder?
Harder, like
harder, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this damn connection.
No, I heard you. I hear things wrong, that's why I write songs.
That's perfect.
So what did you say? It said dental laboratory. I thought the car said denial laboratory. So that's more interesting. I think I'll write that down. So, yeah.
But yeah, I think the whole, if I was, that's like, if you were to take, that's the best way to explain it for me, to anybody that, hasn't, obviously, nobody's heard the new stuff yet other than what we've played, but they're hearing some in the background. But Sucked Into the Undertow is a perfect example of that carryover. If you were to take that same vibe from, the Shoe, and even Trigger, and pull that over and kind of make a whole album with that vibe, that's what this more feels like to me.
Right.
Even though there's still the upbeat tones and that same awesome lyrical content that you get accustomed to being from like My Son the Bum or whatever, it still has that mind-bending thinking, making you think type stuff. Which is what's great too about the type of songs you write, is just a couple lines can make somebody sit back and think, and that's perfect. And I think there isn't enough of that in music sometimes these days, or music that is more of the realm that everybody can sit and listen to. And that's what I like about My Son the Bum, is it has that, it's got that little something for everybody, or most everybody, if you're cool, anyway.
If it makes you feel better, there's a whole probably recordings of an album of the more quirky ones. I don't know, what was happening was a lot of people were, how do I put it? Let's say radio airplay or something, where you pay for plays, but it's not about paying for plays. It's kind of like Pandora, but it pairs you with artists that are sort of like.
Right.
Like, I don't know exactly how to do that, but there were people signing up for all different songs. Well, I did an emailing list, and they got another genre. They're like, what the hell is this? Some stations would the like one large UK station said, I don't care how good the song is, I won't even listen to it with a name like that. So I was like, oh, Kerrang didn't have a problem with it. What's your problem? But the My Son the Bum name, that album, Beyond Therapy, the CD, or the EP, if you take issues like Tissues and Beer for Breakfast, they're all heavy, I think.
Right.
But what happened was I thought, I had this old boss that said, you should do a cover of Sonny and Cher, The Beat Goes On, and make it heavy. I'm like, I don't think so. But, when I was doing that album, I had this dream where he's saying, I'm telling you, you should do some sing-along, quirky. I was like, no. So I'm trying to remember. I said, I'm going to do songs that are more fun. But I always I don't sit down to write anything in particular. Either it comes or it doesn't come. But when I think I did more, the more serious stuff with that, and then I thought, well, let me add the other two. And I was happy that, Shoe, Trigger, and, what's the one, Beer? It was more Trigger and Shoe, because I knew a guy back in the days of the peer-to-peers. So this was an honor for me, because I was in touch with the guy who was invited to the underground peer-to-peer network thing. So I used to like giving away the music for free. I'm like, hey, this is great. The people like the song. So he's on the email list. So he'll tell me once in a while. I still have Trigger in my iPod or when I walk after all these years with all the thousands of albums he had that he liked Trigger. That was an honor for me. But,
that's cool.
But I didn't set out to do one thing or another. I mean, I read Mad Magazine when I was 10. It probably warped me. So every time I look at life,
that
I'm
makes
looking
sense.
at it. I look at it through the lens of a Mad Magazine.
It all makes sense now, man.
Yeah, and wacky packages. To be honest with you.
And what was the? I remember collecting Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Messy
all that
Jesse.
stuff was around at the same time.
Yeah, so I kind of looked at everything through that. So it's kind of like, what do you mean drugs destroyed my mind? I read Mad Magazine, and used to look at wacky packages.
Yeah, drugs didn't even stand a chance after all that.
Yeah, who needs drugs to read Mad Magazine and watch wacky packages? Say, what's so great about Maytag's cleaning power? It has the power to clean out your bank account. Whatever. The other ones I won't go into, but, where I didn't like camp at all, but, mother was like, I'm not paying for a babysitter, you go to sleepaway camp. And Grandma would send me a Mad Magazine book every, one a week, and I would stare through the book and read the magazine and say, well, the summer's going to be over soon. I think I graffitied the whole wall with my favorite bands. They painted the wall over my visit.
Yeah, I did my scene.
I'm not, I don't know, was that inappropriate, but hey, the wall looked better than jet black.
It's not much, it's not too good for lighting, but yeah, it looks way better. What about the name My Son the Bum? Where did that come from?
Let's see. There was an old comedian named Alan Sherman, and
yeah.
I don't know what this. See, I used to not be, when I was a recovered downloader, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And then they made it illegal, and then it came to me like, dude, you have to make amends to the music industry for all the music that you stole. I said, but it wasn't illegal yet, because there were these Clinton laws that you can't come into somebody's computer and trespass and arrest them for what they have. And then they had to get rid of that law, so then they, whoever the RIAA, the Recording Industry Police, or the Recording Institute of American Artists that certify things gold, platinum, and have the ISRC codes and blah, blah, blah. So I decided to, said, you know what? I don't need any bad karma. I'm going to buy MP3 albums with what I have, because whatever. If I think I could figure out bad karma and then figure out how to negotiate a good deal to pay it off, I'm in trouble, I think. So I said to my girlfriend, I said, hey, or do you think I could buy CDs instead of MP3? And she said, really? Why? Are you using your amends to the recording industry as an excuse to level up your music collection? I said, what? She said, what did you steal? I said, well, it wasn't stealing because I didn't. This is before when it was stealing. It was trading, and I didn't make any money, so I wasn't breaking the law. But I felt that I asked an entertainment lawyer friend of mine. He said, well, it's a copyright. Some are copyright infringements, and some aren't even released to be copyright infringements. You want to know which one is more unethical or illegal? I went, oh, really? He said, yeah. So I spent like $5,000 or $6,000. I didn't really have it. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I'm making these MP3 amends and stuff. I don't know how we ended up on that subject. What was the question again?
I asked you how you got the name My Son the Bum.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It does segue into it. So I was at the library in Long Beach, and I was thinking, okay, I can't download anymore, but I can take stuff out of the library. And the woman said to me, what do? You put all the stuff in your computer, don't you? You know, that's not right. I said, nope, don't do that. Because, yeah, right. You take out a lot of albums. I said, well, you should see my Amazon bill for all the MP3s I bought. You know, to pay back, I don't do that. It's stealing, whatever. I'm not saying anybody should or shouldn't do that. Now you have Spotify. They can steal it for you.
Exactly. Don't get me started on Spotify.
I won't get you started. It's great for independent artists, though.
Yeah, it's a great tool, and there's a lot of pluses to it, but they are fucking robbing everybody and rubbing it right in your face. And, you know, I mean, great. You got, I mean, if people are making money at it and it's helping them and it's a tool, that's great. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, these people are frickin', you know, how much money you think Bandcamp made last year compared to Spotify? It's just, come on, man. You know, people just want to give over they want these gatekeepers. We live in a time where we don't have to friggin' be beholden to record companies or any of that shit. We have independent friggin' radio stations such as this that can play music from all over the world. And
that's right.
And
I pushed the right button, didn't I?
And mix it in with national artists. Now,
I found the right button,
why would you want to say, hey, you know what? I don't like all this choice. Why don't I just have somebody else decide what music I should be listening to? It's just, come on, man. You're just giving it over to gatekeepers.
I'd rather give it away for free myself.
It's just, you know, I mean, now, basically the music has, you know, for a lot of bands and independent bands, music is kind of the secondary thing. If you can build up a fan base and everything, you know, merch and stuff is where you're probably gonna, you know, quote-unquote, make your money. And I use that term.
Yeah, go to Grave Huffer's site. They have the best merch. I
use that term loosely. But, yeah, I was just going to say, Grave Huffer is a perfect example of that.
Now, their stuff, their name doesn't sound senior-friendly. So I don't mean high school.
Senior-friendly.
No, but this is a true story. I was out to eat with a family member and an adopted family member in their late 80s. And I had one of the, you know, a couple of years back, Grave Huffer T-shirts, the black and white, kind of glowed in the dark. And sitting at the diner, and they're like, Ryan, what's that on your shirt? I'm like, I don't know if you're going to like that.
Yeah.
You know? And so I said, what does it say? I said, that's an interesting design. I said, it says Grave Huffer. And they looked at each other and they started giggling. I'm thinking, you find this funny. I say stuff that I think is okay, and you tell me, why can you say that? And I'm wearing a Grave Huffer shirt as you planning your funeral, and you find it funny, and you like the shirt. And I would wear the shirt sometimes because I would go out every weekend with them, and then I was like, I'm wearing your favorite shirt. You want one? I'll get it for you.
But
they're like, oh, that's okay. We'll see when you wear it.
Right, and I mean, see...
But Richie and the guys, those picks, I had one in the studio once. I was playing the track and I had this anxiety. I'm like, praying isn't working. There's my Grave Huffer guitar pick. I think I have my genuine Grave Huffer guitar pick. What?
I was just thinking that reminds me.
I'm not getting free merch for saying this either.
No. I was just thinking, though, that reminds me, I gotta go order some of them. Because those new ones there, have you seen those? Those are badass.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, but...
again, how the hell did you come up with the name My Son the Bomb, Brian?
Okay. I'll give you the build-up, because it wouldn't make sense. So I'm at the Long Beach Library, and I thought, I'm going to look up Rhino Records, because Rhino has great albums. Like a lot of the classic albums were from Black Sabbath to the Monkees. Or probably, I don't know, Zappa's on a different label, I can't, whatever. So I'm going to do a search under Rhino Records. And I'm looking at the library, what's in the Nassau County Library System here on Long Island, and it says, My Son the Box. I go, what the F is that? And it said, Alan Sherman. Here, there was a Hello Mother, Hello Father, Here I Am at Camp Granada.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that guy. So what happened was my dad had passed away, and I took out this box set. You'll figure it out right there. I'm thinking I have to go over to my mother's and let me bring something from her time that might be, or after, whatever, something that would be more comical.
Right.
So I'm looking through this Alan Sherman box set, and there's one song called My Son, The Nut. And it has his head coming out of Peanut. And there's another one that said, My Son, The Celebrity. And he has them all dressed up. And then there's another one, I think the funniest one, not the one with the peanuts, was My Son, the Folk Singer. And it has Alan Sherman standing on a milk crate like he's Bob Dylan. And I'm listening to these songs, and I'm like, Harvey and the Killer is Harvey and Sheila. It was, whatever, it was a specific brand of humor. I'm like, okay, so this might work. And I'm sitting there listening to it, saying, what the hell is this? I'm like, imagine if I did an Electric Alan Sherman album. What the hell would I call it? And then I went, My Son, the Bomb! Because I see My Son the Nut, My Son the Folk Singer, My Son the Celebrity. I'm like, My Son the Bum.
And that was the
I laughed. Yeah, so I called up Bob Stander, and he was speaking with John O'Reilly, and they were deciding they wanted a band name, even though it was a studio band. And their name was totally unacceptable to me. It was. So I had an album, the one with Beer for Breakfast, Trigger Shoe. I had 1,000 made, and I had the album cover, and the name of the album was My Son the Bum Beyond Therapy. That was an album title. It wasn't a band name.
I remember handing them out.
Yeah, but the point is, I looked at I got 1,000 of them back in shrink wrap. Yeah, and I looked at them, and I went, with the album cover, I don't care that my name wasn't on the front. You know, it has a Jack in the Box with my head on it, and there's no eyes and no lips. That was another accident. The photographer didn't put the eyeballs in. I said, I like it better that way. Leave it that way.
That's cool.
So she said, you're sick. I was like, yeah, but I don't want, who cares?
Yeah, but
my eyeballs.
That's cool.
Who cares? It looks better with no eyes. You know? So I get the CD back, and it says My Son the Bum Beyond Therapy. And I'm looking at it, and I went, you know, the way that album looks to me, it looks like My Son the Bum is the name of the band, and Beyond Therapy is the name of the album. I kind of like that. But you look at the side case, the Brian Kroll, My Son the Bum Beyond Therapy. If you look on the actual CD, you can see where I had to take a Sharpie black marker and blacken it 1,000 CDs. If you look on the CD, you can see where I changed the website and I blocked out my name. So it was I spoke to Bob and I said, "What do you think about My Son the Bum for a band name?" He goes, "That works," and that's how it happened. So when I had the college radio promo on that, it was like I opened up 1,000, took 1,000.
Yeah, I got a small stack of your CDs right here. With the there's the Beyond Therapy. There's what I got? I got them right here. There's the one with the car. Then you got the one with the Jack in the Box.
Wait, the one with the car?
Yeah, the one with the car hanging half buried in the ground.
Oh yeah, are we there yet? Yeah, I remember that.
Get them all right here.
Yeah, there was a downloading song on that album. And yeah.
Where is it? Right here.
Which one are you looking for?
Oh yeah. Follow Me Like Me.
Yeah.
Jesus, you got a ton of CDs, man. I didn't even realize. Wow. You got a small stack of stuff right here. And I've been telling everybody, you got a... I just didn't realize how many physical CDs I had of you. Because I remember going to shows and giving out, like, tons of these to people. And it was so funny because we would go up to hand them the CD, and they would be like, "I don't got no money." And we're like, "Oh, no, we're giving it to you." And they're like, it's kind of funny how when you try to give something to somebody, they have a problem accepting it because they don't believe that it's free. And there's, But
if you want, you could give us your opinion on it.
But
anonymously.
But then turn around and, you'll catch somebody trying to, scam something that you only want a couple bucks for, and it's like, Jesus, I just soon give it to you.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I remember, we'd go to a show and pull out a case of My Son the Bum CDs, and it was awesome. That was the other way I got acquainted with My Son the Bum, was being able to just sit and listen to the CDs. And that is another thing too. You guys work a lot with puppetry and stuff like that. What's that all about?
Oh, the Follow Me Like Me album?
Well, the whole, like, your videos.
Oh, the Flight Deck for Christmas?
Well, basically all of them that have, like, the puppets, and, I mean, you guys
there are 3 videos with puppets. Here's an unreleased video. Yeah.
Is that something that, like, you do, or is that something that you source out?
No. I just feel like a puppet. I'm not a puppet. I'm not. Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. But, no, well,
I just didn't know if those productions had anything to do, like, is that something that you do, or?
No. I wish I did. If I did that, you'd have a whole boatload of more puppet videos. If I could do stop motion, CGI stuff, I would have a song for everything. It's just, I found that some of the most creative people don't make the most organizationally savvy, time, completion date savvy people. How's that? Like, I have a deadline. But the Flight Deck, that riff you like in the Trigger is the Flight Deck riff half speed.
Oh, wow.
In case you didn't know. Yeah, I was wondering. It's like,
that makes sense now.
My immortal higher power. Like,
see, you guys, you get a lot of holiday music. Like, you even got, like, the Every Day is Halloween in my world. Which,
yeah, I didn't set out to do that, to be honest with you.
How did that one spring up?
Halloween?
Yeah, the Every Day is Halloween.
I don't remember exactly. I never heard the Ministry song until after, or know that there was one. I think there was, like, somebody was talking about how they love Halloween and why. And I just remember saying, who the F needs Halloween? Every day is Halloween in my world. And I just meant it, like, serious. Like, I'm like that every day. Hell, if I only had to be that way once a year, it would be really, I wouldn't know if I'd make it. But not in terms of, like, trick-or-treat and all the costumes. It was kind of like the lyrics in that song. So Mike Worth used to have a studio 5 minutes from here by car. And now he's in Long Island City right over the bridge from Manhattan. So if you're standing on the studio roof of the building he's in, you see the 59th Street Bridge or the Queensboro Bridge. So now it's like 2 trains and a walk, but it used to be I could walk there in 20 minutes. So I would wake up in the morning and go over and have a 2 to 4 hour songwriting session. And actually, I dropped tune the guitar and I'm playing stuff, and I'm like, that's what happened to me. If you like the Ramones and Alice in Chains, that's what happened to me from liking the Ramones and Alice in Chains.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Those, I can hear both those in your.
Yeah, like that. It's like the Ramones drum with a drop tune guitar.
Yeah.
You know, with that dark interval in there. So I didn't set out to do that. I would just sit there playing stuff. I was like, well, the world doesn't need another Ramones core band. Or maybe they do. I shouldn't say what the world needs. I don't know. But I dropped tune the guitar, and I was like, this is kind of like Ventures from Hell. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Ventures would be, oh, it's out of tune.
You playing it now?
No, but you hear that though?
Yeah.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when it was like, it's out of tune, this is like $40 guitar. So I went like this. And that's why I was like, I like that. So it was probably just like that. So I went over the mics and I just closed my eyes and whatever lyrics popped out from stuff that I never put in the song, we put in there. And the thing about that song was I think the whole song took 4 hours or 5 at the most.
Wow.
You know, and we did it in this little attic room studio. It was quick, it was out, it was on the radio, it wasn't released. And I was like, I wish they were all like that. Because it didn't get old, it was new. And the funny thing about Mike, this was, I had a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier head, and you can't really turn that amp on full in an attic room in Baldwin off the street.
Yeah,
So,
Mesa Boogies are deceptive amps.
Yeah, it's freaking loud. But so we did that song, and it was done. It was quick. And I didn't mean it to be a holiday song. I just meant, like, well, medicine doesn't work. This doesn't work. I guess that's the way I am. I just might as well be a happy pickle. You know, if I can't be a cucumber, I might as well be a happy pickle. So I just took all the lyrics like that and put it in, you know, in that song, and that's that. So the irony is, I had a drummer say, "So who's playing drums on that?" I was like, "I'll tell you after the song is over." He said, "No, tell me." I was like, "I'll tell you after the song is over." He said, "Who played drums?" I said, "Those are MIDI drums." I said, "Well, Mike played them on the keyboard." But yeah, so there you go. That's Halloween. I didn't set out to do Flight Deck for Christmas either.
Really?
Honestly. No, I didn't set out to write that song.
Just kind of happened?
No, I was in one of those, like, 6:30 in the morning meetings that I can't talk about, and people would be saying, oh, the holidays are coming, and, you know, my family, I'm going to get drunk, I'm going to get high, I can't stand the family, and the this, and the drama, and they look at me, and they look down on me, and I can tell they're judging me, and they're smiling, saying, it's good to see you, I'm going to be on the flight deck for Christmas. And I would hear this, like, 2 months in a row. So I used to go to a psychoanalyst in Manhattan, and was the brother of a psychoanalyst I had who overdosed on heroin and cocaine and died. But this one, whatever. But that was another story for another day. Yeah, I'm not going to die. I'm only 10 years older than you. He died of what? I didn't know that for a long time. But I'm on the train to Manhattan to the analyst, and I'm on the phone with my girlfriend. I'm like, I'm thinking I got to write flight decks for Christmas for all the disenfranchised. I didn't say disenfranchised. That sounds too, like, journalistic. Disenfranchised, displaced, marginalized, dysfunctional, maladaptive, you know, adjustment disorder people like me. So they have a theme song. But I said, wow, that's a good idea for a song, flight deck for Christmas. And I don't remember. I gave her all these lyrics on the phone. I didn't remember any of them. And then I went out with some family members and the same people that like the Gray Puffer shirt. Hey, Richie and everyone. But anyway, not a plug. Not a plug. I've never been to Joplin, Missouri. Is that where they're from? But anyway.
Yes, Joplin, Missouri. Anybody ever is around the Missouri area?
I've never been there. I will get there one day, but not in the winter.
yeah. Go in the summertime.
I might be found, or not found, buried under a snowbank.
What was that? The winters are hell, but the summers are remarkably mild.
What was that?
It's a quote from a freaking Jim Carrey movie.
Right. So, and I was like, I woke up the next morning with my, my mother's friend saying, asking all these questions, and I woke up, I was like, yeah. And I started typing out, I woke up from sleep, I went to the computer, I typed down the lyrics for Flight Deck and didn't really know I was going to be doing that because I was so annoyed and I really couldn't curse my mother's senior citizen friend out at the table, so I kind of just wrote it in the song. And then my mother's like, well, you should thank her then. I was like, I don't think so. I paid for the meal to be abused. But then, so at least I got a song out of it for all the meals I had to buy for that woman.
Well, and that's the thing about...
I didn't plan it. I sent it to Mike. I'll finish the story.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that nobody knows. I don't know if anybody cares either, but you'll know it now when you decide you can't answer.
You're going to care.
Oh, he wrote that song. I did not set out to write the song. I woke up, I typed out the lyrics, I sent them to Mike. And Mike said, so what are we doing today? I said, we're going to do Flight Deck for Christmas. He said, okay. Are we building this up from scratch? I said, no. He said, so what are we doing? I said, I have an unreleased song for my first album that nobody's heard. And nobody's ever going to know that we changed the vocals. We're just going to put the vocals on this old song that nobody knows because it was never released. And that'll be that. We'll copy and paste the chorus section. But John O'Reilly's timing was so good that it only fluctuated 2 beats per minute.
So it was kind of Frankenstein.
Yeah, but the whole song stayed the same. We just took the chorus piece. But the timing was so good throughout the song because it was not being done to a click. So then the song was done because the music was already done, the violins and everything. And then I found the video. The video guy was supposed to do the Death by Texting video. And I had some people, the one time I used the video plugger, and they're like, we're going to do a focus group and this and that, we're going to see. And I'm thinking, I paid for 3 months for an entertainment lawyer. I was like, thinking, this is going to be a waste. I'm following my gut, because whenever I don't, even, I think, what do I know? I don't know anything about this stuff. They're professional.
Right.
And then I'm like, I should have listened to me, because me not knowing anything, I realized the Emperor had new clothes. So I said to myself, you know, I'm going to see if I can get a video for Flight Deck, because I'm paying for them to do this Death by Texting plug. It's going to come back to me that idiot, imbecile, and moron are not politically correct. And I'm like, people are getting decapitated, and I can't put it, just another texting moron, a texting imbecile.
Right? Who is it that does the videos? What's the name of the...
It's the guy that doesn't... He's an illustrator, and he made a handful of videos, and I have 4 of them, or 3 of them.
Oh, he's not... Is he just somebody that does it for a hobby?
No, he didn't do it. I found him on a Canadian website for independent filmmakers and video people.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to link up with him.
People say cyberspace can ruin you. I ended up with the video guys from just following thumbnails and tangents. I found you.
Well, it's very unique to My Son the Bum, and it fits. That's why I thought it might be...
that was great. I asked the guy to do the shock treatment thing with the video. He said, do you mind if I put a chainsaw at the end with your name on it? I'm like, yeah, it's a puppet. Go for it.
Well, that's the thing is, the whole puppetry thing, it's really... if you've listened to My Son the Bum music, it's like, when you see the videos, it's like, well, of course, there's, you know, this whole, like, little puppetry world. And it really reminds me of, like the Gorillaz-esque type character, where there's like, My Son the Bum characters that you kind of now are accustomed to seeing in the videos. And it goes right along. It's like, so now when you hear some of these songs, it goes right along with this, like, you know, world that you're picturing in your head, and these bad things or funny things happening to this character, you know? I think it just helps tie it all together. So you know... Oh,
yeah, if I had my way, I would love to have more of those videos.
Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, that's a good choice on that, I gotta say, because it does feel like it's all in-house with how good it... They really did pay attention to the music and really, like, make fun of it in a good way.
Yeah, he was perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
There's one more, actually, that, there's one like that for Beer for Breakfast that I think is as good, or maybe better, than that, but it was, They're all
hilarious, I think.
Yeah.
I just, you know... there's
one more that I have. I've just been holding it back because it's the last one from this guy.
Right.
I think he put together a team of people. In his own special sauce kind of way, and I just think that how do I put it? There's a ridiculously large amount of work that goes into those things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I think what happened was he had a kid, and all of a sudden it's like...
Well, life happened.
Yeah, why? No, he had the wife.
No, I said life.
Oh, there you go.
Life happens. That's usually what happens with musicians or artists or whatever is, life steps in the way somehow with a child or divorce or, And,
sometimes that can work well for you.
Exactly. Sometimes it does better for the art and the music, and it helps it.
Hey, Fleetwood Mac Rumors was written with 2 couples going, whether or not you like Fleetwood Mac, they had 2 couples getting divorced, and they didn't want to be in the same room, and they wrote all these songs that made all that money. And I shouldn't say that. They're good songs. But
I know you.
But if I don't want to stop thinking about tomorrow or how many times I heard that song, but. Or what it means now, but did you see Goodbye Psychotic Christmas? That video?
Yeah, I believe so.
It was a hand-drawn animation thing?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not...
Did you like that at all, or no?
Mm-hmm. I've seen,
It's not the same thing as the puppets, obviously.
No. I like it, though. It's not, like you said, it's not in that world.
No.
But, yeah, that's the thing, too, is you do pretty good with picking, no matter what way it goes, of picking these artists or whatever that have a way of really taking the content and using it in what they're making with these videos. And there's so much of, like, you see videos where whatever the hell is going on in this video has nothing to do with, you know, the song or whatever. But then when you see videos like that that add to the fun of the music, or can make fun of it in a way, you know. And remember the old Ronald Reagan puppets there? They also did a Genesis video. They had their own show. It was in the 80s.
I don't know.
I'll have to show it to you. I'll have to dig them up or whatever.
I think I've seen the Genesis video.
Yeah, that's what a lot of
I
Mice on the
Bum
stuff.
I like the video more than the music.
Right. Well, they were kind of counting on that you would at least watch the video.
Oh, they did pretty well. Hey, I read historically that Peter Gabriel was the singer and Phil Collins was just a drummer. I don't know if he even sang backup. And then Peter Gabriel left, and Genesis was looking for a new vocalist, and they couldn't find one, and they owed the record company an album.
So
it's like, well, we can't break up. We owe the record company an album.
So Phil Collins just sang?
No. What happened was they put together the Trick of the Tail album, and they still didn't have a singer. They're trying, nobody worked. And they said, Phil, you can sing the demo vocals. They're like, no, I'm not a singer, I'm a drummer. He said, we have no choice. At least demo the vocals so we could show somebody what it's supposed to sound like. And that's how it started. And then the album was due, and the record company released it.
Wow.
And then it outsold them with Peter Gabriel. And Phil Collins was shocked, and Peter Gabriel was ticked.
I'll bet.
It's like, so I thought, that's a good story. I mean, if Peter Gabriel stayed in the band, I wouldn't have had to hear Phil Collins sing. So he's going.
Well, and I mean, we wouldn't,
Nothing against Phil Collins.
No, dude, a lot of that music from back in the 80s, some of it I look back and I'm kind of like, wow, why did I like...
Oh, I don't remember the 80s. If you remember the 80s, you weren't there.
But there's a lot of Phil Collins tunes that, you know, that Air of the Night song is the one that everybody remembers. You know, whether they like it or not, that song... if you grew up in the 80s or whatever, that song is in your
if you sang
repertoire.
If you sing I Squeeze the Charmin all night and sang it like that, it would be a hit too.
Jesus.
I squeeze the Charmin every day and every night. Oh Lord. I squeeze the Charmin. I'm going to make it right. Oh Lord. I am the kind of guy that doesn't like to try because I am the guy that's always to play. Like, you know, and it'd be like, if he sang that, it would be a hit too. So I don't know what that means.
What, now, you have a very, obviously, unique and, I would say, very, like, well, I'll just leave it at that. You have a very unique and neat way an approach to the music industry and how you do things. I know things are obviously very different. We could go into that on how everything has changed and all that. But I think working with a lot of independent artists and being somebody that's been in the music industry for as long as you have and gotten to work with the talent that you have, I feel like you're a good person to ask. I mean, nowadays, what would your advice be? Because we have a lot of new independent artists that are coming onto the scene or just starting out, and you know they're getting to get airplay on stations, or shows like the Killogic Effect and stuff. And what would your suggestions be, or tips or maybe do's and don'ts that you have found along the way? Brian Kroll blunders that you would recommend, or heed warning.
Hey, warning, Dr. Smith. Danger, Will Robinson.
I just, somebody that's, I mean, you have.
Who's going to listen?
You've run.
I don't know what anybody's mistakes are.
You've run.
Don't make my mistakes. I didn't see them coming, and everything I did to fix and make it made it worse. But you take my advice, because if I had to do it all over again when I didn't know what was coming, I would have done it that way, but I don't know.
Right. Okay.
Somebody said...
We'll go with that.
Well, my friend said to me the other day, he said, just be yourself. Everybody else is taken. So, I think that fits. It's a little short, and as long and windy as I am telling you the story of how my son the bum name came about, I owe you an immense for time. Say, I just think that, anybody else. I mean, I don't understand the point of being somebody else to become successful and then being told you sound like everybody else.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. It goes back to be yourself, take risks. Don't ask too many people their opinion because you'll go insane.
Right.
Do something that makes your inner child happy, and do it because you have to write it. Do it because you have to do it. Then it's win-win.
Mm-hmm.
With me, everything. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. Makes perfect sense.
Like Undertow, since I do remember you asked that question. So, we're sitting at a red light, and I couldn't turn right on red, and I was driving off Meadowbrook Parkway here, and I'm just feeling like that song sounds. I was like, oh no, here I go, something to the undertow. Oh no, it was like looping in my head, just like a psychotic nursery rhyme. And I'm at the light, I'm like, I might as well write this thing down. And I wrote it down, and I kept finding it in my box of ideas. I don't know, that song, if you like that song, was all the stuff I didn't even think was good enough to put into a song.
Right.
Stuff I wrote down, I'm thinking I'm ripping off somebody. But it was just that it started it, and I was like, it doesn't sound like that at all. Or, so I don't know what the point is trying to be somebody else. I get that on some level that imitation is flattery, but there's a fine line between lifting, influencing, ripping off, and like stock riffs.
Right, yeah.
And bands, I don't know. I mean, I have a friend of mine, rest in peace, and he said to me, you just turned out to be just like your old man. I said, what do you mean? He said, what happened to you? He said, you do it because it's fun. You do it because you have to do it. If you do it because you have to get something or you have to make money, and you have to, you're not going to do it, and you're going to be miserable.
Right.
And I remember being the arrogant prick that I am. I found an article in some local music magazine, had an interview with the guitar player from The Offspring.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm thinking, what does this have to do with...
I just saw The Offspring
right,
last summer.
Those guys have PhDs, and The Offspring was their graduate school beer drinking project.
Yeah. What,
but the advice that he gave...
The singer's like, what, a biochemist or some shit?
I don't know. The line in the Offspring song, you got to keep them separated.
Physicist? Nuclear physicist.
I don't remember. That was Dexter.
Yeah. He's like genius level.
You got to keep them separated.
Yeah.
he was in this. He had a project for graduate school.
Right.
And he had 2 petri dishes. The biology dishes and the teacher. And he had to put them in the refrigerator over the weekend. And the teacher kept saying, "You got to keep them separated. If you don't keep them separated, it's going to be a mess. You got to keep them separated. You really got." And he explained, "You got to keep them separated." And he said, Dexter said, they're in the studio, they're doing the song, and he kept hearing it in his head. The teacher saying, You got to keep them separated. You got to keep them separated. You got to keep them separated. And he said, well, since the song was about gang colors and stuff, which I didn't realize, and he said, you got to keep them separated, whatever. He put it in the song. He said he went to school, and he didn't keep them separated enough, and it had that whole big fishing thing where it was all, not fishing for food, fish, nuclear, whatever. It was like all over the place. And he said, but he got the line in the song. But the thing is, I remember reading interviews with different guitar players. I saw Noodles, and I said, being arrogant, I'm being sarcastic, saying, what am I going to learn from Noodles? I said, this is good like bathroom reading. Is that appropriate to say?
You say whatever you want, Brian.
but so I'm reading the article. It wasn't long, and I went, wow. And it changed my life, the article. He said, any advice to people? He said, I'd say play because you enjoy it. Play because it's fun.
Right.
Play because you want to. He said, because if you play because it's fun, not because you're great, you will play more. And if you play more, you will get better. And if you play more, you will enjoy it more. And if you get better, you will enjoy it more. And you will play more. And if you have talent, or whether or not, you'll get better, or you'll have fun. If you wait to be good enough and you don't enjoy it, you won't practice, you won't play, you won't have fun, you'll stop playing, you won't play as much, and guess what? You won't get better and you won't have fun. So if you just play because it's fun, it's win-win, whatever he said.
Right.
And he said, the offspring, if I played because I was great, I would never be in the offspring. This was my project, graduate school project with Dexter, where we would drink beer and decompress.
Right.
And we played because it was fun. And we played because it blew off stress. And guess what? We played more. And we ended up not only with a record deal, like if you would have told me I would have been on Sony Records and be in a band that toured the world, and I would be making a living on my music and not what I went to graduate school for, I would have told you you were high, basically.
Right. Well, yeah.
And I went, wow.
Well, I think there's a band that's a good example of that that we play a lot here on the show, and it goes a lot with what you said about, do your own thing, being original and having fun, and
I think I know
what
which one
you
you're
do
talking about.
is Good Against the Living. They have a whole concept album based on the Apollo space program. Now, not only is it involving, obviously, a hobby and something that is of, great fascination to a lot of people or whatever, but most notably the people, some of the members in this band. And you can tell, with a lot of the writing and everything that, this is all a bunch of guys sitting around having fun, writing some awesome music that just, it has a way of taking you on a ride. And it has so much going on in it. And there's nothing that you can pick out tiny pieces and say, well, this reminds me of Deep Purple, or this reminds me, this is a little Sabbathy right here. This you know what I mean? And I mean, there's so many different influences that you can hear in that, but the prime thing that you hear is basically everything that you just said is, doing something original, doing something you love, and doing something that you are having fun with. And look what that made. I mean, that is one of the coolest concept albums I have heard in a long damn time.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I would say, do stuff that when you're gone that you want to leave a legacy that might lighten up somebody's soul or life, or get them a laugh, or get them to think, or get them to want to hang on another day if they're having a problem doing that. And that kind of currency is priceless. I don't hear too much about that. A good side of all the stuff, doesn't matter that I read it because it made sense to me, I read that Bob Lefsetz blog. He's an entertainment lawyer and whatever. I don't read it all the time, but every once in a while. It says the good thing about all this is it's going to weed out the people that are there for the wrong reasons, and the people who are in it because they have to be will be left, and then we'll start a seismic shift in the industry where it'll shake out the people who are just looking to make money and all the attention whores and all the narcissists.
Right.
Not that there won't be narcissists like myself. You know, I'm not narcissistic, you're narcissistic. Anyway, my narcissism would like to meet your narcissism and we can kill Killogic together. No, but it'll weed out the stuff. There's an up and a downside to all of it. And if anybody wants, you can give them the download link for the album for free.
Oh, yeah, we're going to set everybody up with all sorts of where to find you and all of that.
Where to find me? I don't even know where to find me.
Yeah, right. Well, where to find your music. But, yeah, we really actually, we could go ahead and start rattling off some links right now. What would you...
it's not out. I'm not putting an album download link on Facebook. Oh, I mean, for them to go to?
Yeah, where would you suggest people go to check out Brian Kroll and My Son the Bum? And
go
ahead with that. Go ahead with...
this is maybe it's not tricky, but some people constitute a release for when it's on live service, or streaming.
Are you talking about the new album?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I put it up
when
now.
is
It's
that
got a 2019 date, which I didn't really want. Although I put some stuff, I said, wait, I might die tomorrow. At least I'll get flayed before I croak. Like Undertow is like, what's the point in holding it back? It's like, I'm going to save my youth and my looks. Then
so when's the release for that?
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking of just giving it away for free and not releasing it and being rebellious.
Well, it should still have a release date, though.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I guess we can talk about that off air.
Oh, is that? Say that again?
I guess we can talk about that one off air. What about the music that is out right now that people can go see? What?
Let me think. Hold on.
I'd always tell people to go check out, obviously, the YouTube vids. You can also go check out My Son the Bum on Facebook, Twitter. You can go find you at... Where else?
The My Son the Bum is... Except for I screwed it up. Instagram told me I can get the name back if I did within a week, and it wouldn't give it back to me. But I had My Son the Bum everywhere except for Instagram, which is at Brian Kroll Music. But everything is at My Son the Bum. Hold on, I think... Edit website. Hold on, I'll just go to the... I think I put up some songs in one of those. I'm in the moment now. Let's see. Oh, wow. That makes sense. Just like me. I'm thinking, go to mysonthebum.com if you want. MYSON, THEBUM, as opposed to sun, as in the one in the sky. That's the narcissist sun and everything.
mysonthebum.com?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I just realized this going to the thing. I have songs that aren't even released on here to download for free. Son of a gun. No, I don't want to say that. That's politically incorrect now. I've got Flight Tech, Every Day is Halloween, Madman Playing in the Mad World's Game. This version, that's not released. The Paranoid song, Unstuck into the Undertow Pendulum's not released. Goes to a Bridge Once Burns on the album. Following the Lightning's released. Anger Management Drop, that's not released. And yeah, that was the one that was supposed to be on the album that wasn't done in time for the album, and that got more play than the other ones on the album, except for Flight Deck and Halloween. But those songs are all for free, with no info required. See, I'm a big... I hate to sound like those people. I'm a firm believer. I'm like, you're a firm believer? Well, then eat some carbs and eat some cake. You won't be a firm believer anymore. You believe in your firm? Well, that's very nice. I don't believe in you being firm. But it has the album cover, which I'm not giving out with the album, but I have the album cover on the artwork on the free download. See, I've just figured everyone's coming up with the perfect way to do something, and look back and I'm thinking of all the stories of how bands meet, things happen, and it's all by mistake. Then people try to make a method based on something that happened as a mistake. And then they're like, everyone, that's the way to do it. You know? Like, my friend's mom knew somebody that went to a psychic, and they said, go to France, drive down this road at this time, and they did. The tree fell on their car, and they got killed. So I don't really want to know.
That's horrible, Brian.
I know, so I don't want to know.
I know, he says.
So I'm like, you know what I mean? That's the problem with going with the flow. You might get sucked into the undertow. So yeah, my son the bomber, if you go to the website, it says music streams and free downloads. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right, because people are like, it's free, and then they want your email address. And then your phone number. I was going to give them the Long Beach Police Department. The Long Beach Police Department. I did that at the rent-a-car place. They said, you have to have a backup number. And I had no cell phone at that moment, so I was being defiant.
So you gave him the number for the police?
For a week, so I gave him the phone number. And the guy looked at me and said, you just told me you didn't have a second number. What number is this? I said, that's the Long Beach Police Department number. He said, why'd you give me that? I said, well, if I don't bring the car back, you're going to call him, aren't you? And he said, I will rent you this car. That was true. He wasn't going to rent me the car unless I gave him a second number. So I said, well, if I don't show up, you're going to call the Long Beach Police Department. So I'll just give you the number, make it easy for you. And he rented me the car. Yeah, but
I just gotta cut through that red tape there.
Oh yeah.
Oh Lord.
Jeez. Yeah, but when people say free download, what's your email address? It's like, this is free. You don't have to give me your email address.
All right, yeah. So it's.
And I'm not going to ask you to sign up for the newsletter because I don't really send it out because somebody thinks that I spam them after they forgot that they signed up when they were drunk, and then they look like I'm spamming people, and they just don't remember they signed up. So it's free. No information required.
No need to leave the police phone number.
Yeah, right. I
Just
did
take
that.
the songs, man. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
So yeah, we'll talk. I guess we'll talk more off air about what you plan on doing with the release. But right now, there is quite the collection of.
I pulled those off everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, I pulled them off because in 2013 I started working with Mike Worth, and I was like, well, you know, how do I put it? I found out something else I forgot. In the secret set, I'm trying to think if I'm editing myself, section of the website, I went, oh my God, all the albums are still there with the links, but I hid them because I wanted them up in case I want one.
Jesus.
I redid a lot of the stuff, but but there's a lot of new stuff too, like the version of Fog. It just has the original guitars and drums. The bass is new, the vocals are new. The Gibson organ track, with the Gibson organ being the one that Ray Manzarek from the Doors used from like 1969 or 69 onward. Like I'm Waiting for the Sun song, and that's in there, a real one, and the Mellotron track. It's a lot of new stuff, so it's not all original parts. So I felt like, you know, this is not a re-release. This is a new version with a lot of new stuff and new vocals, and I like this one the best.
Well, we should definitely talk about maybe getting it so people maybe have access to the discography or what you got going, because there is a ton of awesome My Son the Bum music. We've had quite a lot of it playing in the background, especially off of the new album that
Right.
you got This is awesome stuff, man. I dig it. I really do.
Thank you. Oh, to answer the shoe thing,
Yeah.
the whole song took like 5 or 6 hours from start to finish, and it was on the radio in South Africa the next morning, afternoon. I went, wow, what the hell was that?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It went
I mean, what
from being
happened?
written and then on the radio.
Well, I mean, I've been working on those parts for probably forever. Like,
Right.
I could tell you a secret about that song that nobody knows. Let me see. I don't
Well,
think
I don't know how
can play it.
secretive it's going to be, but okay.
Let me see. Guitar's so out of tune.
The guitars are out of tune.
It's a $40 guitar. That riff, it goes... With that riff?
Yeah.
That riff, I was like, in the song. Can you hear this? This is like a $40 guitar from 1972. Is
Can barely hear it.
let me see. Hold on.
There you go.
You heard that?
Yeah.
That's the riff.
Yeah, that's badass.
And then, but I was thinking, like, what would Johnny Winter sound like from hell? So this was the Johnny Winter riff. Wait. That's the one. So I thought, let's make it sound like hell. And I went...
That's badass.
So that's why that was like, yeah, like, I like that riff. I was trying to mix Johnny Winter with Jerry Cantrell. And that's what happened.
That's
Like, I
awesome.
wonder if Johnny Winter and Jerry Cantrell collaborated.
Well, they kind of did right there.
So I hope that was worth it.
They almost
But,
look
yeah.
related. Johnny
that?
Winter and Jerry Cantrell.
Oh, you mean they just have different eyes?
They just look kind of related. But yeah, that's awesome. Like, you never really, get to hear like what the inspirations for, some of the riffs or songs, especially like when like, being in like my position, you can really like. Sometimes I'll hear tunes and I'll be like, yeah, this has got some Black Sabbath inspiration for sure. Or I can be like, yeah, I guarantee these guys are fans of Iron Maiden. That type of stuff.
Right.
But it's always neat when, there's a mix of vibes in a song like that, and to hear, like, what the idea kind of sprung from. It's wicked cool.
Well, yeah, lyrically, I just thought, I had these lyrics, and I said, I'm never going to put that in a song. So I just remembered stuff that I thought sucked, and I thought, well, I've been wrong before, maybe. I have to say that because people who are always right have to admit that they're wrong, because that would ruin the game if they said they were always right. But, so I thought, I've got nothing to lose, this is fun. And what happened was I was working on trying to finish the first unreleased album, of which, let's see, Flight Deck ended up to be from that. What happened with the Flight Deck, the song from the original album with the Flight Deck lyrics ended up in the original video. So what happened was, in October I went back in to work with Mike Worth on Undertow. It was my girlfriend's birthday. How cool was that? And she said, go in the studio. I said, it's your birthday. She said, it'll give me a gift. Go in and create something new. You're out of your mind trying to be responsible finishing the first album, and you're not creating anything new, and I could tell. Go in there. No. I said, I don't know. I've never been to the studio. I have to take 2 freaking trains and walk. She said, I said, okay. I did it 3 days in a row last year, and we pulled 4 songs out and 20 out. But so I went in to do that. But Flight Deck. So while we were doing that, we did Undertow, and then I said, I love this. That's just me. I didn't expect it at all, and truth be told, it like violated everything I thought I stood for. Like, I'm never going to use virtual amps in the damn, I'm using real guitar amp with real tubes, with a real microphone, and I'm never using virtual amp. And then
I have barely played with them much myself.
But I'm saying everything in that song it's all, I was like, holy, well, Mike's the master for me. I don't know about anybody else, but he, but I said, I want something that's not exactly the same as everyone else. So I leveled up Flight Deck. I said, Flight Deck has to get leveled up like Undertow. So that's why I did the new version, and that was like 3 hours.
Wow.
So I'm like, I spent so many times redoing a song that I should have bought a car, not a good one. A car that would have cost more to keep than it would have been to pay off a new one.
Flight Deck for Christmas is, again, it's one of them tunes where it's wicked relatable, but the coolest thing about it is that it's an original rockin' Christmas tune that has, good spirit. When you listen to the lyrics, you can't help but chuckle. It has just that, it's funny because it has all the good things and the bad things about Christmas all rolled up into one. Because as much as the song is kind of, shitting on Christmas, you still end up getting reminded of what Christmas is all about. And, so it really has a cool way of doing that, of making fun of it while, paying its respects and giving it a good song.
If you want to laugh, there's a channel on YouTube called CG BROS, CG Brothers.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
If you look up Flight Deck, the guy loved that there. I wish I could have more of them, too. But he was the thing that was I don't mean anti as being against. It was kind of like, it took what people usually would count as a good, likes, and totally blew it out of the water. Because I'm looking at the video.
Right.
It's like 180, it was put up, the original video, not with the new soundtrack, was put up December 17th, 2015. It's got, not that it has 11,000 organic views, that it's had 1,000 in the last, 6 months, but the comments, somebody writes, at this point there are more likes and dislikes. One of the most unique videos, love it. And just in time, shock around, this is just creepy. I love it, crazy, and the rest of it, raw, this gave me the chills, and it's shitty creepy too. And then you go down, 6, and what the fuck did I just watch? It's been like a horror movie, then there's something in Russian. This is the greatest piece of... Oh, that's somebody I knew.
I take all those as compliments.
Right, but then I got to the other part. Uncanny Valley, weird. What's the one? Make me unsee it. This is going to give me nightmares. Music doesn't suit the image.
I think that's just because some people get creeped out with puppets.
Oh, is this talking about some people who take drugs or the mentally ill people?
It's like the thing...
I really want to know the meaning of this.
It's like the same thing with clowns, man. If, either some people think it's like creepy, awesome in a, creepy way, but other people just won't like clowns. You know what I mean? I'm just using clowns as an example, So I think with some of that, and I can understand that with that style of puppetry because it has that in between cartoonish and it's imitating real life.
After this, I'm going to watch kitties being sacrificed. Way more sane than this shit. I I cried because of how creepy this got, and it ruined my day.
This is awesome.
This is going to give me nightmares.
You're welcome.
But that was the one. Is this talking about some people who take drugs or mentally ill people? OMG, I really want to know the meaning of this. I don't know why, but I actually like it. The one that was saying, like, depressed video. Well, I know it's rock, but that's a pretty mental music video. I had to laugh because everyone is like, oh no, let me forget it. I'm like, that's pretty effed up. Nice, I like it. But it's the one who said that YouTube this is about as uncanny valley as you can get. I looked it up, I go, what the F is that? It said,
Yeah.
art is more life than life. If you can't spread happiness, especially on Christmas, then don't make it worse for those who really want to enjoy it.
They're, that's just somebody being a bar humbugger, taking it too seriously.
Yeah, but it says Ms. Lawyer. I'm like, if you're a lawyer, then you should know how to spell worse, right?
Well, that's somebody taking it way too literal.
Es muy perturbante. But, you know, this is the one, is he in prison? They must have gotten rid of some of these. Oh, what is this? Oh, 10 replies. This is diabolical. This continent, no, is for kids. Which continent is for kids?
Yeah, that's actually an issue. That's an issue now.
I know.
The kid thing on YouTube. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Yeah,
they're going to sue me because...
Well, no.
What happens for Adam's Family kids?
But you just have to make sure that it's marked, because you should have gotten the update. If you have like a YouTube channel or whatever, anybody that had the YouTube channel, I'm saying, I'm doing like an overall, like, so if you got a YouTube channel, you're going to get an update that will say...
Yeah, I don't know. So what do I do?
It'll say it'll ask you if your channel is for children or not, and you put...
Oh, if it's not, I don't have to say anything, right?
No, you got to check no. You have to state that, because then if it falls into the FTC or whatever the hell that thing is, and they decide, at least you've already told them that, no, this is not directed towards children, so YouTube shouldn't be putting this in front of children.
Yeah, your parents are doing drugs, and my video is going to ruin your child.
Yeah, it's like, your parents are out back smoking crack right now, but the video I put out is bad.
Well, let's sue that YouTube channel. We need some drug money.
Yeah, we're going to take that money and go buy more crack.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, Jesus. So, what, I gotta, like, that's another thing. Like, you guys don't really, like, you all are in the same state. I mean, everybody that you work with is pretty accomplished on their own. Like you mentioned earlier, Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yeah, it was in Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Wow.
And he's one of my drum tracks to audition, which was pretty cool.
And then, who was it that was in Rock of Ages or something like that? What was one of the musicals? I thought...
Oh, you mean the guy who plays bass on the song I Exist and the song Carnival of Souls is a guy named Greg Smith. Greg Smith, if you ever saw Wayne's World 1, he was within the Alice Cooper band in Wayne's World 1, and I don't remember if he was in Rock of Ages. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He was in, they're in a band now, John O'Reilly and Greg Smith, called the Wizards of Winter, which has Trans-Siberian Orchestra Rainbow members, if you like those people.
Well, yeah.
But also, off the record, Greg Smith tours with the Councils, the Turtles, and Ted Nugent, too, so he's quite eclectic.
No shit. Now, and what about,
I didn't hire him because of that. he was doing a local open mic night around here with a friend of mine.
Oh, no shit.
So I heard him play, and I didn't know, he had any affiliations with anybody. And I said, that guy's pretty good. He goes, yeah. I like him to play on some songs. He goes, he probably would. He'll probably like your stuff's good. I'm like, well, thank you. So, yeah, I didn't do it because he was, that. It's because he was writing for the songs. Yeah, he was on albums with John. Actually, that was a fun story, real quick, that John O'Reilly, his housemate was Al Petrelli at the time, back however long ago, who was in TSO, he played on the Megadeth album and tour when Dave Mustaine broke his wrist some years ago, and they didn't know whether he'd heal from it and be able to play again.
Oh, so he filled in.
And Al Petrelli was the guy who was in Megadeth I don't know if he was on the album, but touring, and he's still in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He was in the Alex Cooper band back in the day.
He's filled in for a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. With John and Al were housemates.
No shit.
And they live like up the road in Pennsylvania till whatever. Can't say anything more.
Oh yeah.
No transparency. It's a big state, but anyway. So Blake Smith's wife at the time worked at Cove City, which is a large studio on Long Island.
Right.
It's still there and still has 24 tracks along with their SSL board or whatever you call it, fancy board and Pro Tools. They were managing Al Petrelli. So when Greg Smith and John O'Reilly actually, for Fog and Carnival, and some of them, actually we rehearsed it first at a rehearsal place. I said, you guys should know each other. And they're like, yeah? I said, well, you live with Al, and his wife manages that, they manage Al out of the studio. This is a long time ago. And then they ended up on a bunch of Joe and Turner albums. Joe and Turner from Deep Purple and Rainbow and stuff. So it was fun. I mean, I never heard the album. So that's not where I had them. I have people that you don't know, too. But, but I wasn't into the name thing. Cause with John, John played on stuff of mine before we played with people, well, at least those people. I'm trying to remember, because...
What about you singing?
He toured with Bad Company. He toured with After Boris, the Cult drummer. Died. He toured with Boris, the Cult for a year. But the thing was, it's more like he worked with me before he did that, and the thing that meant the most to me was that, it wasn't the name thing, it was that he still worked with me after. He worked with people that goes, this is fun.
Right. Yeah, he didn't get all... Right.
Are you serious? He goes, I said, why? He said, why? Because you tell me, play whatever you want. I can't tell you what to play that'll be any better than what you would do without me asking. Just play whatever you want. Nobody does that. I can play what I want. And I enjoy it, and I never know what I'm going to expect. So I'm so honored that he, came off of recording with Richie Blackmore or a tour with whoever it was, and went in the studio and was like, now we can have some fun. Not that he didn't have fun on the tour, I'm not saying, but it was more like, now he could just...
Well, he could more play his own, what he wants, rather than playing somebody else's music.
He didn't have the producer saying, play this, play that. I'm like, I think you want this.
Where you're
like,
basically
no, I'm the
just
producer.
Being used for your ability to play.
Yeah, like you're like a human drum machine. We'll just program you.
Yeah. Yeah, we still can't get robots yet, but... Now, that Uncanny Valley thing you were talking about, there's been a lot of issues with that, because they got, like, the Roy Orbison is on tour, and they got the hologram thing now. Frank Zappa is on tour right now, but they went more of a cartoony, psychedelic show way of it, where Roy Orbison is the real Roy Orbison, a hologram, up on stage. And that's the kind of uncanny valley where people get kind of a disturbed feeling because this person's deceased. And here they are. And
really, I thought a hologram is a gram with nothing in it.
Yeah, it's it's just weird.
Yeah.
But that kind of uncanny valley is, the kind that I would more relate with, I would say. And I think that's why, like, Zappa went more of a cartoony way. And why I mention that is because that's how I feel, My Son the Bum videos are. And then back to the members there. Wasn't your singer, what was it that he was doing? I thought he was in something, or was that somebody else? Man.
Which singer? The new one? So the current one, he's not so new.
Yeah, well, see, that's another thing most people don't really... The singers are very similar sounding.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that just has to do with
I'm glad there's one. I found one person that thinks that.
Well, I think it's just thematically,
Oh, okay.
It all jives together where... If you were to sit and listen to, like... And the reason that I say this is because, like, me and the missus were talking about it one day, how... Here we are, we've been listening to, a mix of My Son the Bum, and it's like, whoa, holy shit, that's a different singer. And it took me, half the day to realize that, because of
I think I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Because it's just, I didn't even notice. Because it's the same vibe, and they went right along with that groove that My Son the Bum.
They interpreted what they thought I wanted.
Well, they both do it very similar, to each other, I feel. And the way that it fits in with the music, that it's not like the singer isn't standing out more than necessary. And,
right.
Where the singers that you have are very talented. And,
thanks to Carnival.
And they really and I think another, a good example of that is Waiting for the Shoe to Drop. Again, that song has that mix of things that we're talking about with, and there's even some minor effects on the vocals there, which isn't
so it's like, you gotta put some distortion on there, put some tremolo on it.
Yeah, and he belts it out, man, which makes it cool.
Yeah.
Ronnie's
a great is great. His I heard that. Should I keep? Is that guy?
No, keep going. You're fine. Nice to meet you.
But he's more into. I think he sang like that, to work on my stuff because he's a versatile guy. It's hard to believe that his father is the guy that did the original Peppermint Twist. He was like the youngest child.
No shit.
The very youngest child from...
I think I remember you telling me that. That's right.
Yeah, I don't want to,
That is wicked cool. That's just...
Yeah, so so it was pretty cool. And he was telling me some cool stories about touring on the road, with his dad. Joey D and the Starlighters, playing the oldies circuit, pulled him out of parts of the Bronx that people never got off of, or not alive anyway. Who said that oldies couldn't save a younger person of rocker's life? But so that was a funny story. I can tell it quick. I had the first version of some of these songs had the singer was a co-owner of the studio. And what happened was the guy in a cocaine psychosis called up the studio and said, I'm coming there with a 357 and I'm killing you all. You're all, displacing me. But what happened was him and his family were the 51% owner, so nobody could displace him legally, but he was paranoid.
Wow.
So his dad called him up. I'm giving no names. You'll never figure out who it is unless you know, and if you know, then it wouldn't matter, and a long time ago. Long ago and far away. And his father called up. He said, "You better call the police." He had 19 rounds of ammunition and 357. He shows up at the studio, and they arrested him. And what was the point of that? He wasn't going to sing on any more material. I think that was the point. Right.
He was no longer the same.
Actually, the funny thing is, part of his grandiosity, a couple of years later, I went to different studios with Bob Sander.
Long story short, he couldn't sing no more.
No, but I think he wasn't, at the time, I didn't know, but he showed up like 3 years later, saying, "I have a guy that's got really big connections. I'm going to give you a tab to finish the album, and whatever you need, you just do it." So I did. And then the other partner said, I know you were giving credit, but it's time." I was glad. I said, "Bob, what do I do?" He said, it's perfectly legitimate. It's his studio. Half of it, 51% of it, take the credit. And that's how I finished the album. But, so I needed a singer. So I said, for the flip side of a fairy tale album, and I said, "Bob, what am I going to do?" He said, I got the perfect guy for you. I was like, "Yeah, you got anything for me to listen to?" He said, "Yeah, but I won't play it for you." I said, "Why not? You have nothing?" He said, "I have a bunch of things with him on it, but I won't play it for you." I said, "Why not?" He said, "I could just tell he's the guy." "How do you know?" "I've seen him live. He used to do these World Trade Center gigs." "Whatever." He said, "He's the guy." And I said, "You got to play me something. You want me to hire a guy blind and pay book studio time and never hear the guy?" He said, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying." I'm like, "Are you effing kidding me?" And he said, "No. I'll tell you what. If you don't like him, my part of the bill is free. I said, "What about the studio part of the bill?" I'm like, "You have to pay for that." And I'm like, I said, "I'm not doing that. You're out of your mind." He said, "You won't be sorry." And when Bob said that, I was like, "All right."
Yeah.
So,
okay, you sold me.
yeah, so he came in, he did one song, and I said, "Oh, this is great. And then the next song came in another day, and it sounded the same. I knew it. The other shoe had fallen. Except that was before I wrote the song.
Right.
Probably around the time I started writing the song. It wasn't about him, though. It was the next, whatever I used to say. "I'm waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for the shoe to drop." I was like, "Will you shut up? I think my shoe's going to drop," because if you say that one more time. But, so that's how I ended up with the guy, the original singer for My Son the Bum. I never heard him. He showed up at the studio.
Wow.
And the second song, what the thing was, I had been at my friend's deli, and they played "I Can't Get Next to You" by the Temptations. And I said, I'm asking everybody, what do I do? It sounds like Speed Chase Toward the Grave. What do I do? What do I do? They're like, "It's your song." It's like, who cares if it was my song? What do I do? I asked my friend, what do I do? What do I do? She said, "Brian, it's your song. I don't know." "Bob, what do I do? What do I do?" "Sounds fine. It sounds like Speed Chase. It's a different..." "What do I do?" He said, "Take a minute and think about it." And I walk out of the coffee, get coffee. I'm hearing the Temptations thing, and I'm like, "Hey, can you do that high guy, low guy, middle guy, Temptation thing?" He was too young to, I said, "You're too young to remember," because I grew up with my dad. "You mean like Sly and the Family Stone?" With that
Good
high
stuff.
guy, low guy, and that's how he did the song. But
That's awesome.
What was that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, but with Mike Worth, that was even weirder to me. How that whole thing happened.
Yeah.
I'm just going to... What was that?
Yeah. I've
but it
noticed
was
a
weird.
lot of the experiences in your life have the word weird attached to them.
They're not weird to me. It just seemed like the right thing to do at the time. You know, I got married after 4 weeks and 3 days, and it was less tumultuous. And I had relationships that took 2 years to get out of. And that worked out better. At least we were friends. But so I was so fed up working with everyone the original thing. So I said, I quit. I can't do this anymore. This is like ridiculous, you know. So I was going to learn digital recording, and
Your Pro Tools and all that?
Yeah, I went to a meeting. A store friend of mine, I hadn't seen in a while, and it's not that he was part of Linkin Park's road crew. I remember him when he was 11, and I was 19, and he got me in trouble for getting drunk and thrown up for a gig set. Stage anxiety, and I didn't realize, like, there's certain things I shouldn't eat before I drink. So when I say it was part of
Life
Linkin
lessons,
Park,
man.
yeah, part of Linkin Park's sober crew. Well, I guess it didn't work. I'm not going to go there. That's so not correct. I guess it could be a dry drunk only so long before you pick up a noose instead of a drink. But anyway, I'm not going to go there. So not correct. But so we went out to eat after the meeting, and I'm like, so what are you doing? He goes, I'm working with this guy who's a rapper, and I'm thinking, oh, great. Nothing against that. So I told him what I was working on. I said, hey, you know a guy that can teach me Pro Tools? He goes, yeah, I know this kid. He's really great. He did this recording. He gives me Mike Worth's number. So I pull up Mike, and before he had his own studio, in Long Island City, which is right over the bridge from Manhattan, so he gets the Manhattan crowd and everything. And he was like 23 years old, and he's coming over, giving me lessons, on the way to giving lessons, you know, before he was a full-time producer all the time, and got married, has a studio and everything. And he's teaching me, and one time he comes over, he said, what are your goals? I'm thinking to myself,
what are my goals?
23-year-old kids asking me my goals. Dude, do you know who I don't think I am? I was like, I don't know.
Past goals, man.
My goals are I already achieved my goals. I need some new goals. I said, why? He said, I was the same when I was 10. I would practice my lesson at the next lesson.
Yes.
So he said, you're paying me every week to teach you, and you're practicing the lesson from the week before. I said, I was on block yesterday. I have 6 hours worth of ideas. He goes, and what are you going to do with them? You're going to get unblocked and have another 6 hours worth of ideas? And I'm like looking at him saying, that sounds like the truth.
This kid kind of knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I go, what are your goals? Well, I want to demo songs and arrange songs for possible future recording. He said, I want to put an offer on the table. I'm looking at him. I'm like, okay. He said, for the same amount of money you're paying me for your lesson, I will help you construct, arrange, collaborate if necessary, if you want me to, demo songs and prepare them for future recording.
That's awesome.
I'm like, yeah? He said, yeah. I said, good. So, and then I started, like, you heard the Anger Management Dropout song?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I played the song.
Anger Management Dropout.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm like, I played that sitting in my living room, you know, half off the recliner. It was you know, we reamped it, but whatever. So I started working with them on songs, which was the Follow Me Like Me album, half of it.
Right.
The half that sounds like what you would call My Son the Bum, I think, and Anger Management Dropout. And the thing I liked about working with Mike was Mike like, that's great. And Bob would say, well, she doesn't know any better.
Yes.
And I was like, well, you know, I'm not like, Bob's an amazing guitar player. I'm like, I'd rather have, it's more inspiring to play better when somebody thinks that what they play is cool than somebody is looking at me saying, well, that's just another stock riff.
Right.
So I said, you want to sing on this demo?
Kind of like
And
the
Mike,
angel and devil thing going on.
yeah, so I was like, forget it. I don't want, you know, whatever. Oh, good, I didn't say that. That's a good thing. The filter's coming back. So I said, Mike, you want to sing on this song? He looked at me and said, no, it's your song. Why would I sing on it? And I'm like, okay. I was curious because I saw he was in a band at the time, and he decided he wanted to be a full-time producer in the band thing was, I think he opened up for a band that opened up for Taking Back Sunday, and with a friend of his, and he said, well, that was nice. Well, now that I've done that, I don't need to do this anymore. And whatever it was. So he became the producer thing full-time. He said, this isn't for me. I'm the producer. I found a song that was more reggae-ish, which has never been released, and I don't know if it ever will be. I said, hey, how about this one? He goes, okay. And now he's on like 80 songs.
Wow.
So I was ready to quit, you know, because I was like, you know.
So that kind of turned you around, huh?
And all of a sudden, I'm like, you're kidding me. I was going to go to this different meeting, and I didn't. I'll just go to the local one. I run into somebody I haven't seen. I find out about Mike. I call up Mike. He lives 5 minutes away. And when was it? It was right, you know, probably whatever. And Halloween, the Flight Deck,
right,
and Psychotic Christmas, and all the stuff was Mike. I did stuff that I would never have been able, I feel, to have done because I was too, like Bob in awe, because he's not that Mike's not great, but Bob is like,
right.
You know.
Well, you gotta have that person that pushes you and that you can
yeah,
drive.
well, Bob was really good to push me, but that, you know, at this point it was, you know, I needed some. The animator from Flight Deck was helpful. He said, you know, your original thing is really good, but, you know, if you want to have something new, then, you know, new blood's good sometimes.
Right.
Plus, he's not in Florida. He's 5 minutes away, and that makes a difference. And he has no children. And the other singer has 4 kids now, and he's not coming from Florida, and he's not in the Bronx anymore. So let's deal with today.
Right.
And then I was like, you know, I think, and my girlfriend like, you should work with Mike. I'm like, yeah. So all those songs were with Mike. I mean, Goodbye Psychotic Christmas, I didn't plan on writing that. So I'm like, here I am, the guy with the 2 Christmas songs. I didn't plan on writing either one of them. You know, Goodbye Psychotic Christmas.
They were just a happenstance type of thing.
Well, you know, Gene Vincent.
Oh, that's how some of the best music gets written, man. I mean.
Yeah, but I'm like, what you hear on Goodbye Psychotic Christmas, I mean, I heard the Gene Vincent love song, the guy that did Bebop a Lulu, She's My Baby, the original one.
Right.
But he was drunk reading a Lulu comic and said, imagine Lulu doing the Bebop a Lulu. That's how he wrote his hit, drunk on the path in the service. Yeah, that's how he did that.
Wow.
So I was in a rockabilly band for fun because I'm not going to be in a metal band because, I don't know, I don't look good in spandex. So I'll play rockabilly. What the hell? So I'm pulling into
because I like the outfits better.
I was like, no.
They have cooler hairdos.
Yeah, there was nothing against it. I mean, I did listen to metal, a lot of metal. But, you know, I mean, I walked out of the record store and my friend said, you just bought the Smithereens and Metallica Kill 'Em All at the same time. I'm like, what's wrong with that? He said, nothing, that's so you.
That's awesome.
I said, why? Yeah, but the thing was, I was singing along to a Gene Vincent love song, trying to bastardize it, pulling into my dorm parking lot. Instead of saying important words that say, I love you, I'm like, goodbye, Psychotic Christmas, I don't need you anymore.
It's awesome.
And I forgot about it, but the thing was, I demoed it. We did it in an hour and a half. I forgot about it. And I got contacted by a DJ 2 years ago. You got any other Christmas songs on Flight Deck? And I'm like, I thought you could play that every year, dude. Make it come back. He wanted a new one. And I'm told, what was that?
I was just laughing. It's awesome.
Yeah, do my will. Make it come back. Make Flight Deck come back every year. You don't have any new ones?
Well, that's what's great about that song is you don't get many, like, post-Christmas songs that say goodbye to all that shit. You know?
Right.
There isn't many that I can think of, if any.
Well, thank you. I didn't even think of that. Thank you. That makes sense.
You know, and it's like, you know, the post-Christmas tune that, you know, everybody can kind of like, that's the bow on Christmas. It's like, yep, we're done. Here, signed, sealed, and here's the little bow on top. And a little song to say goodbye. So,
yeah,
I think it's a very fitting song, and it's.
Yeah, I'm grateful to you and Justin saying It's somewhere.
Well, if you're ever looking to get away from the cold weather, you can come south and we can party down here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not into that snow shit no more. I don't play.
No, I hear you.
Yeah, if it drops about round under 50, I get upset down here. So yeah, I become a little spoiled. But yes, Mr. Brian Kroll, I gotta say, this has been one of the most enlightening and interesting interviews that I have done in some time, probably ever.
Thank you. I highly recommend Sleep Deprivation.
Tell us where we can find you, or where we can find your music. You want me to do it?
Yeah, you can do it. If anybody really wants to hear the back catalog and they really want it, tell them to send you an email, and I'll send you a link because it's not released anymore. But if anybody wants it, for you, right. I'll give it out. I'll give it out.
We'll set something.
Free, no info required.
You'll be able to find this interview on Anchor.fm and on Mixcloud, as well as we will also be re-airing it on some other stations. So what we'll do is if you're hearing this after the fact, it will be linked up somewhere in the description or whatever, so you can get hooked up with some My Son the Bomb and the back catalog, if you will. But anybody that's interested in some awesome holiday music that we also play here on the station, go check out My Son the Bomb over on the YouTubes. Get enlightened to some of them kick-ass vids. You can also find them on the Twitter and the YouTubes as well, and of course on Facebook. If you really want to,
it's Brian Kroll. Yeah, I'll give you. You can give people the front catalog too.
Well, the front catalog, the back catalog, and we'll even show them the side door just in case.
That's right.
Brian, is there anything else that we should be letting people know?
I don't know. I thank anybody who's listening, and hope the tangent was a good one.
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, because I went to a wake the other day, and I'm like, wow, I'm still here. And they're like, why do you still do that? Because I'm still here. I'm like, that's it? I'm like, what's wrong with that?
Jesus.
You know what I mean? It's like, why do you still do music? I said, because I'm still alive. Why do you not do it?
Exactly.
Thanks to you and Justin and everyone.
Yes, brother. Thank you for all that you do and all the kick-ass music that you make. You are definitely an inspiration, and the music that you make definitely is a part of my everyday, and is always an awesome way for anybody. I recommend anybody that would like help in some mental therapy or some levity. Go check out My Son the Bomb. All right, Brian.
All right, thank you.
You have a good one, brother. You stay safe out there and try to stay warm.
Everybody stay off the flight deck for Christmas.
Indeed. All right, dig it.
Back off my meds and fresh out insane asylum.
Yeah! We'll throw back a few beers and smoke some crack. Crack? Just the beer then.
You have to get us the fuck out of here! These people are backward savages! They eat every third baby because they think it makes fruit grow bigger! Everyone's gross and they all smell like piss!